It took me 45 minutes to find a rubber band for my hair. I'm telling you, it is crazy. Every time I need a rubber band, I can't find one. And I don't know why, because I buy them in bulk. So I have like 50 of them in a pack, but it never fails. I lose all of them. So today I've decided I'm going to make a change. I scrapped my video that I originally was going to film for today. Today's a video of necessity. Today, I'm making a scrunchie. So I have my cutting mat, I have my acrylic ruler, and I have my rotary cutter. And then I also have a pair of scissors, some fabric scissors. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out my fabric. Let's see, I'm going to start with this fabric. I love this fabric. I'm just going to measure this and see how much I have. Oh, perfect. That is absolutely perfect. All right, so I have 22 inches of this fabric. All right, so I'm going to take my fabric and I'm just going to line this up because we're going to need 3.5 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my acrylic right on that line. I'm going to press that down, take my rotary cutter, and I'm going to cut straight across. So now I have my piece of fabric. Alright, so now that I have this cut, I'll put this to the side. And then put my scrap fabric over here. I need to measure out my elastic. Now I could just use that ruler, but I'm going to use my little measuring tape. Perfect. So we've got 6.5 inches. Cut that. And put that with my fabric. Alright, so now that we have our fabric cut, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take our fabric and we're going to fold it in half so that the right sides are touching. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line these up. And then I'm going to use my little clips to help hold them in place. So line these little guys up. Now you can do just like a little finger press if that helps you out. But I'm just going to take these and just clip them down. And then that'll help me as I'm sewing to kind of keep everything lined up. We're going to sew straight down this line and we're going to turn this fabric into a little tube. So we're going to start with a little, we're going to sew a little bit and then we're going to do a little back stitch on this guy. We're just going to keep on sewing down. Remove the clips as you go. Alright, so we have our little tube. So now we've got this tube, but we need to turn this tube inside out. So I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to stick it into this tube. And before I put it all the way in, I'm going to roll it at the very, very end like this. And I'm just going to stick a piece of tape, part on the pencil and part way on the fabric. Just like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull our fabric over our pencil and just keep shimming it on down. Keep pulling it. And then you've got your tube the right side out. Okay, so now that we have pulled the tube out, we just need to take the tape out from the inside and throw that away. And now we need to get our elastic into this tube. So we're going to do the same type of thing. And we're going to take our pencil. We're going to use our pencil and we are just going to tape the elastic to one end of our pencil. There we go. Like a little flag. And we're going to stick this into the little tube. We're going to slide this down. And you'll see it scrunching, hence the name Scrunchie. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm going to take that off of the pencil and I'm going to grab both sides before I let go of this pencil. And then I'm going to pull the pencil out. Now we have the beginnings of our scrunchie. Alright, so now that we have our pieces we have our fabric scrunched up and we have our two pieces of elastic, we are going to put these together and we are going to sew them. I'm going to use a nice little zigzag stitch for this one. And we're just going to sew this so that we want to make sure that it'll lay nice and flat. Okay, so I'm going to put these two together. Be very careful because you're going to be getting in here tight. I don't want you to sew your fingers to these. Nobody wants to do that. All right. So I'm just going to very carefully backstitch. Make sure this is extra secure. All right. Now I'm just going to snip off these extra strings. And then we will sew our fabric together so our scrunchie will be finished. Okay, so we have our elastic is sewn together and now we have these two ends and we need to connect them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my fabric inside. Just tuck these little raw edges to the inside. And turn your fabric so that I want the seam where we stitched, I want that on the outside of my elastic. Alright. So I want it on the outside. Turn your seam so that it's on the outside of your scrunchie. And that just kind of helps it lay flat. So now I'm going to turn these pieces. So I've got this one. So now I'm going to tuck this piece in. And then I'm going to take this side and I'm going to shove it into that one. And I just kind of want to match up my seams. Seams are matched up. Fabric's on the inside. We are ready to roll. All right. So I'm gonna put my stitches back because I don't need that zigzag stitch anymore. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come to the very edge and I'm just gonna sew these two together. So, turn this so y'all can see it a little bit better. So I'm gonna start sewing this. Back stitch. Back stitch. We are done. All right. Get our scrunchie out from under there. Kind of bulky now. I've got a new scrunchie. So as I've been researching scrunchies and scrunchie sizes, which sounds kind of silly that I've been doing research on this, but you know, you gotta research. My problem is that I have really, really thick hair and I have really long hair. And sometimes I like to put mine up in a bun. And in order to do that, I need a big scrunchie. Now this size that I just made, that was the 22-inch fabric by 3.5-inch fabric. It's great for thick hair if you want to double it up like this. And it makes, I would say, it's a little bit less fabric. It's not quite, it's not huge. It's not the big puffy scrunchies. It's not our scrunchies of the 80s, if you know what I mean. So you can kind of see around my wrist, you know, it's a good size scrunchie, but it's not a great bun size scrunchie. So what I'm gonna also do is I'm gonna make another scrunchie that's a little bit bigger, that would be better for thick hair, especially if you're wanting to put it in a bun. I got new fabric, and this time I cut my fabric 24 inches long and I made it 4 inches wide. So we've got the cute strawberries. I love it. It's making me think of summertime, which is what I'm ready for. So I decided to do some different sizes for you guys so you could see the difference. So right now I'm clipping my little bitty because little ones should get to have scrunchies too. So, plus people with super fine hair, you know, you never know when you need a different size scrunchie. Now I'm going to put in the description below all the details about the measurements for the 3 different sizes, and then I'll also put links to where I get like, my clips and mats and all that kind of stuff for you, just in case you want to know. So right now I have my large scrunchie is all clipped and ready to go. So my large scrunchie is 24 by 4.5. My medium scrunchie was 22 by 3.5. And my itty bitty small is 20 inches by 2.5. And we're going to be using different size elastic for each of these. So I'm going to get these sewn together. Here's one of my favorite parts about the large ones. You know, my trusty kitchen tongs that I'm obsessed with. Well, for the large ones, they fit over it. And you just scrunch that fabric down, and then when you come up, you're going to open your tongs just a little bit and push that fabric down into your tongs and then pinch it closed. And then you're going to just start pulling up. I'm telling you, kitchen tongs are the best. So now we have our large guy. Now for our itty bitty, I'm going to show you another method. And this is probably the one that I see people use the most. And it just involves a clothespin. And you're going to attach it to the clothespin. And you're going to send that clothespin through. So you're going to just clip one end and then push it through. And you kind of pull down. This one is definitely more of a process. I'm just going to pull that. There we go. So as you pull, you can see that it starts to pull inside out. You just have to work it down. It eventually comes out like that, and then you have your little safety pin. Okay, so now I have this little one ready. Look how skinny, it's gonna be so tiny. All right, so for my big guy, I'm gonna go 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch elastic. And I'm gonna do this 8 inches. All right, so we use the tongs to pull this the right way. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the tongs to get the elastic in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to take these tongs and I'm gonna slide it over. And I'm just gonna pull this down. And I'm gonna let this open up just a little bit. Put the elastic in, pinch it, hold it closed, and then, hold on. You're gonna hold on to one end of your elastic, don't let go, and then pull that fabric until you have the other end. And now you can let go. So you'll have both sides of your elastic. And then what I like to do is, I like to move my seam to the outside of my scrunchie. So here is my big scrunchie. This is more of what I remember from my days in the 80s. This thing's hefty. It's gonna hold my hair beautifully. So I'm thinking that this large scrunchie is going to be more for the very thick-haired people, or people that really want to put their hair up like in a bun. This thing's heavy duty. It's gonna hold everything in place. So the last one that I'm gonna make is the baby. So this one I've done 8 inches of elastic, and this is a 1/4 inch elastic. And the reason that I did 8 inches on this one, even though I'm doing the baby size, is because this one I'm not going to sew together, I'm actually going to knot. So you're gonna need a little bit extra room. So for this one I'm gonna use my clothespin, and I'm going to stick that through my elastic. And you wanna make sure that you don't go right on the edge of that, because as you're pulling, you can kind of pull through it. And what I'm going to do is just like before, this one's a little bit trickier just because it's very short. But we're gonna keep on keeping on. And if you need a little bit more room, you can let this fabric come down. Just make sure that you hold on to this end. We do not want to lose that end. So we're gonna keep on sliding it down. See, I've had so many problems with things being in focus because I can't see y'all. All right. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, so now I take my little safety pin off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 2 ends and I'm going to put those together. I'm gonna tie a knot. Pull back through. And pull that tight. And I've got plenty of room up here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut just a little bit. that off because I don't want too much sticking out. Okay, here's my baby. It's so sweet. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is find the seam, and I'm gonna pull the seam to the outside, like we've done before. And then when I get around to my knot, remember we're gonna roll one side under, so we don't have any raw edges sticking out. This one gets a little bit harder to do because it's the baby. So we're gonna put one side, roll one side under, and then before we put the other fabric in, what I want you to do is I want you to push that knot into the scrunchie, because we do not want the knot at the seam or we're not going to be able to sew through it. And how many times can we say knot in one sentence? All right, so I folded this side in. Now I'm going to put that one inside that. It's like a little hug. All right, make sure my seams are lined up. And it is time to sew. I'm gonna sew this. Make sure that my elastic is towards the middle. And here we go. All right. Clean this little guy up. Cut off my strings. And I know you couldn't see my machine when I did that. You don't need to see me sewing every single time. If you don't have a machine, you can easily do this by hand. It's just gonna take a little bit longer, but you can totally do that. Okay. So here is my tiny. It's so cute. So I've got, I feel like it's the three bears. I've got my big guy. I've got my medium guy. And I've got my little baby. So we've got 3 different sizes, depending on your hair type. Okay guys, I hope you guys had fun. And I hope you will try this and let me know how it goes. Follow me on Instagram at Crafternoons with Molly, and make sure if you post these, tag me because I want to see what you did. Oh, so fun. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful Crafternoon, and I'll see you next time.